Hey, welcome to In Case You Missed It, the fourth instalment of our half-hour headlong dash through some of the highlights that we at VAST have come across in the last month. I'm Tom, Strategic Liaison Officer at VAST.
And I'm Cassie, Support and Volunteering Project Officer at VAST.
Thanks for mucking in with presenting duties, Cassie. Now, while VAST is full of people that think a lot about how we can welcome and build upon the very best of the sector, you're a colleague who's known to many as a friendly face of invaluable funding advice and training here at the Discipline Centre. So what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Well, it's usually my little boy complaining that he's hungry. But once I've had my first cup of coffee, I really do actually look forward to coming into work. We get to meet some great people, and I love hearing about people's ideas and plans for the future. We get to help make all those possibilities a reality, and that's a real privilege and really rewarding.
So out of all the things that you're involved with here at VAST, what's the part of the working week that you look forward to the most?
I absolutely love our training sessions. We see people coming as strangers, and their openness and their passion for their work means we always have a great time. Everyone leaves with new connections, having learnt from each other and really infused. It's really fantastic, and we always learn something new too. The sector is constantly evolving and responding to new challenges in new and inventive ways.
Oh, fantastic. That's what the VCSE sector is all about. But back to the podcast. Here's what's in store for this month's show.
As always, we'll be bringing you news of current funding and contract opportunities, a spotlight on some of the headline developments locally and nationally, opportunities for our sector to shape and influence what our colleagues in health and local government are doing, and some key dates to jot down in your diary.
We're also really excited to bring you an update about community-led support in the city. Community-led support is a preventive partnership approach that connects people to the support they need using a multi-agency approach for our network of community lounges across the city. Lots of VAST members host community lounges at their premises, and it's fair to say it's been successful. We'll be hearing more about those successes and about what lies ahead from Andy Wilshaw, who is a Community Development Manager at Stoke-on-Trent City Council.
Andrew spoke at a recent VCSE Healthy Communities Alliance meeting, and it's worth saying that he'll refer a little to his presentation, which we'll link to in the show notes. Here's a little preview.
Nice to meet everybody. My name's Andy Wilshaw. I'm the Community Development Manager for Adult Social Care at Stoke-on-Trent City Council, and I oversee the community lounges within the city. I'm going to talk about community-led support, communities together, community lounges, a little bit of everything. I'm going to give you a quick whistle-stop tour about what we're about, what we do, and I want to start off by making it perfectly clear that this is a collaborative approach. It's about co-production. It's about everybody working together on a level playing field to support the community.
It's great to see how the local authority in health have recognised the value and reach that the VCSE sector brings. Now, before we move on, and as we always say, we do know it can be tough to keep abreast of everything. We can't fit all of the sector goings on into what's really the length of the trip to the sandwich shop, but we hope that we can get you closer to the little details that will make a difference in your work.
We know our sector is full of really knowledgeable and well-connected people, and some of what we cover you may already know about, but the clue's in the name, and we hope there will be something that's useful, that's all too easily missed or forgotten amongst the volume of news and goings-on.
We're aiming to give you just enough to judge what might be useful to you so that you can go away fully equipped to find out more for yourself. Here's the key thing. We won't be talking about any one thing in great detail, so please do take a look at the show notes and there'll be a link for everything that we cover.
Here at VAST, we do know lots, but we definitely don't know it all. And so don't forget that if you have anything you'd like to tell the sector about, we can give you the space to say it in a future podcast. Please drop us a line if that feels like it could work for you. And in the meantime, feel free to make a cuppa, grab lunch, catch a bus, or take a walk. And we'll talk you through some of what we've been noticing in the sector this month.
How do you feel about that one? We run through it one more time?
If you want, yeah.
Let's do it. I'm not going to break it. Dean can just edit another go out of this. So it's great to see how the local authority in health have recognised the value and reach that the VCSE sector brings. And now, before we move on, and as we always say, There we go. Did this last
At least
time.
it wasn't too far on. Yeah.
Leave pause. It's great to see how the local authority and health have recognised the value and reach that the VCSE sector brings. Now, before we move on, and as we always say, we do know it can be tough to keep abreast of everything. We can't fit all of the sector goings on into what's really the length of a shit. Of a shit. It's great to see how the local authority and health have recognised the value and reach that the VCSE sector brings. Now, before we move on, and as we always say, we do know it can be tough to keep abreast of everything. We can't fit all of the sector goings on into what's really the length of a trip to the sandwich shop, but we hope that we can get you closer to the little details that will make a difference in your work.
We know our sector is full of really knowledgeable and well-connected people, and some of what we cover you may already know about. But the clue's in the name, and we hope that there will be that useful something that's all too easily missed or forgotten amongst the volume of news and goings on.
We're aiming to give you just enough to judge what might be useful to you so that you can go away fully equipped to find out more for yourself. Here's the key thing. We won't be talking about any one thing in great detail, so please do take a look at the show notes and there'll be a link for everything that we cover.
Here at VAST, we do know lots, but we definitely don't know it all. And so don't forget that if you have anything you'd like to tell the sector about, we can give you the space to say it in a future podcast. Do drop us a line if that feels like it could work for you. And in the meantime, feel free to make a cuppa, grab lunch, catch a bus, or take a walk. And we'll talk you through some of what we've been noticing in the sector this month.
First up is Funding in 5. This is our regular roundup of contract and funding opportunities that are currently available to VCSEs here in Stoke-on-Trent or within a stone's throw of the city. Several grant funding opportunities are currently or have recently been promoted, so again, please do check the show notes for the appropriate links. We talked through several opportunities in last month's podcast, and one or two of those are still open too.
Biffa Award has what it calls its main grant scheme, which is for organisations situated close to the local landfill sites. One of the great things about this one is that it's a rolling programme with no specific deadline. You can use up to £75,000 of funding to improve the quality of life in your community or to conserve wildlife through capital work, which means improvements to land or buildings. One of the reasons this scheme is so popular is because it prioritises community buildings, recreation, including parks and playgrounds, cultural facilities and biodiversity. It's worth being aware that they won't fund projects that are going to cost more than £200,000 in total, and there are some other conditions that are worth having a closer look at before you think about progressing your idea. They've got a helpful section on their website which covers lots of frequently asked questions, so take a look.
At the time of recording the podcast, we have two local funding products that will just have closed or be closing very soon on the 9th and 14th of March, and both of which have been promoted quite heavily in recent weeks here at VAST, with the grant-making side of things also supported by the Community Foundation for Staffordshire. Now, if you've missed the memos on these ones, we've kept them in the podcast because there may be future application windows.
One Stoke community grants are made possible by money provided to the council by central government in the wake of last year's public disorder and are intended to promote social trust and community cohesion in the city. Meanwhile, Let's Celebrate Stoke-on-Trent 100 grants are about celebrating our city's centenary, with funding of up to £3,000 available for initiatives that support this. As we said, if you missed the current application windows, keep your eyes peeled for any further opportunities later in the year, although it will depend on demand.
Here's one we told you about in January, but with a deadline that's now fast approaching. The North Staffordshire Environment Fund is a legacy of Middleport Environment charity, and it's being delivered in partnership with the Community Foundation for Staffordshire and Shropshire. The aim of the fund is to support community-based organisations in North Staffordshire to deliver projects that have positive outcomes for people, nature and climate. If you're looking to apply, you'll need to demonstrate how this grant funding will help to create a healthier and more environmentally sustainable future and how how you'll share their success with both your local community and other relevant stakeholders. 2 tiers of funding, up to £500 and up to £5,000, are available to voluntary and community groups, social enterprises and registered charities, and there's an initial deadline of the 31st of March if you want your project to be considered for funding as soon as possible.
And it's always worth saying that if you feel like writing bids is not your thing, or perhaps you just don't know whether it is yet, then VAST has a friendly and supportive team on hand to help you find your grant funding groove.
Just drop us a line or send an email to support@vast.org.uk and we'll be glad to talk about how we can help you. As ever, the contact details are in the show notes, and VAST does also maintain a vault of current and ongoing funding opportunities, including the ones we've mentioned, which you can also find on our website.
We do also have a small handful of fresh or ongoing opportunities to supply the local authority and NHS. Public sector contract opportunities do sometimes require familiarity with a range of different processes, which we'll try to explain briefly as we talk. But as ever, if you need a little more help, then contact us by emailing support@vast.org.uk.
In the long run, we're pushing for more approachable processes, and we know that the statutory agencies do want to make this happen. Slowly but surely, change is coming, partly due to recent legal changes, and also because we're working with the City Council through the VCSE City Alliance to enable the sector to shape this change. If you'd like to be involved in a series of workshops that are taking place through 2025, then there's a link to more information about the VCSE City Alliance in the show notes.
Back to the contracts. March tends to be a slightly slower month for new openings, but if you're new to these kind of opportunities, then it's worth being aware that some of them do stick around for a long while others come and go in as little as a month or even a fortnight. It's no bad idea to spend a few months getting familiar with the pace of things and what tends to be required before dipping your toes in for the first time.
For example, as we've said in previous episodes, Stoke-on-Trent City Council continues to seek transport services for vulnerable children and adults and alternative education provision for children and young people with SEND. These opportunities are set to remain open to new suppliers into the 2030s.
Meanwhile, over at the NHS, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, or CAMS, is looking for organisations that wish to be considered as suppliers of a full range of services across the 0 to 25 age range, and this opportunity is going to stay open until 2027.
That's really interesting, and it's still quite a new approach. The two opportunities we outlined there are based on what are called dynamic purchasing systems, or DPSs. Really, when you see a DPS mentioned, it means that the opportunities, like the ones we just mentioned, don't close anytime soon. Instead, you're applying to register your services with the council or with health, and if you're successful, then you become eligible to supply them for a period of several years alongside other providers. It's not a guarantee of work or of income, but it can be a useful way to establish a supplier relationship and grow your income generation.
Similar to a DPS is an approach called a framework. However, unlike DPSs, frameworks do close for applications. So while you are applying to be one of several suppliers, you're also working to a very clear deadline. There aren't any local examples of these opportunities open at the time of recording, but it's likely we'll be able to share some in the coming months. Stoke-on-Trent Virtual School want to contract an organisation to deliver a youth work summer programme to target young people coming into Year 12 who may be at risk of becoming NEET.
Remind us what NEET stands for, Cassie?
So, NEET means not in education, employment or training. The aim of the programme is that the service provider will deliver a 4-week youth work provision in the summer, incorporating twice weekly sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays, looking at careers and work experience, personal resilience, mentoring and so on. They're looking for organisations to quote for delivering this work, and the link to details is in the show notes.
So again, if you're just starting out and you don't feel totally certain about whether these opportunities are really for you or your organisation, please do reach out and we'll do our best to help you see through the fog. The language around this can be super confusing if you're new to it, so if you're just beginning to wonder whether it might be for you, or if you're unsure about the differences between a dynamic purchasing system and a flexible framework, then we can work with you and help you to make sense of the landscape.
That's what we're here for. When it comes to the way councils plan and buy services, there are lots of new legal changes that are just bedding in. So it's not a bad time to start getting your head around things, especially as those changes do challenge public sector buyers to reduce barriers.
When organisations share with us what they're unsure or uncertain about, well, that's what helps us to improve the support that we offer. So, in other words, do just pick up the phone and let's have a chat. On that note, something else to look out for is that soon we'll be working with the City Council's commissioning team on some sessions looking at everything that you need to know about public sector procurement and commissioning. We're still working with them to confirm the dates for the summer, so do watch this space. And while you wait, why not have a listen to what Shelley Brough, Director of All Age Commissioning, had to say about commissioning on December's show.
We'll put a link in the show notes. As we've said before, we thought Shelley's thoughts were really encouraging in their message to communities and well worth a listen at a time when there are lots of changes.
Start the next section.
Next up, we bring you some of our monthly spotlights. These are about opportunities arising from key programmes and projects that are just getting going or beginning to make a splash in the city and sometimes beyond.
We do tend to give these developments a bit more airtime and do them more justice at forums like VSCOG, that's our Voluntary Sector Chief Officers Group, and the Healthy Communities Alliance. Bottom line is there's really no substitute for a proper lowdown, but here's a quick whiz through what's new and what's gathering pace. For example, the City Council recently launched its Future 100 Prospectus for central government investment in the city, with a delegation delivering the document to 10 Downing Street early this month. The document features 5 key missions that have been shaped with the input of a range of partners, and you can read the document online too. There's a link in the show notes.
There's new movement stirring nationally. Do With is a call to action that's described as a network of people and organisations calling for a radical shift in the way the public sector works, from doing to doing with. It's led by the King's Fund and supported by several other organisations, including NAVCA, NHS Horizons, Local Trust, Power to Change, and many others.
How can we find out more?
There's an online event on the 26th of March which aims to mobilise a collective voice for change. So the King's Fund wants to hear from people working in or with the public sector and for them, us in fact, to share ideas on how to deliver change and to connect people together who want to work together and make this happen.
Sounds like that is right in tune with what we at VAST are trying to do with the VCSE City Alliance. And it also speaks to the mood of other emerging initiatives like the Civil Society Covenant, which we covered in January's podcast.
Absolutely. On a really practical level, but in a similar spirit, the City Council is working up a new policy about community asset transfers. That's the process where the council awards a long lease or a licence for community organisations to occupy one of their properties. There are lots of examples in the city at various stages, and we know the process has been a little painful for local groups at times. But the good news is we feel confident enough to state here that the council's intent is genuinely to make the process fairer, clearer and more transparent.
Yeah, and that's something we've been working on with their property team. It's another piece of work that underlines the change that the VCSE City Alliance represents. As we said with commissioning, we're looking to confirm a couple of sessions during the summer, which we can really help the council to communicate what that work is about and give the VCSE sector the chance to engage directly with them about the challenges and the opportunities, as well as shaping some of the detail.
The best thing is to keep your eye on the VAST events listings, or better still, make sure your organisation is registered as a supporter of the VCSE City Alliance. That way, You can be sure of being the first to know when the dates drop.
Is there a link to more information about the VCSE City Alliance in the show notes?
Absolutely. Links are in the show notes.
One last thing we'd like to mention is Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, or MPFT's, Quality Improvement, or QI, network. This network is open to anybody interested in improving our health and care services, whether you work in the VCSE sector or in the NHS. It's a friendly network that explores quality improvement techniques, and if that sounds like your bag, then this is your invitation to get involved. There's a sign-up link in the show notes, as well as a video explaining what QI is, and a poster with more information about the opportunity. This month, there are some new opportunities to shape the work of our colleagues in local government and health. These are our chances as a sector to both feed in our views and insights and to make sure that our communities and beneficiaries can also be heard as new initiatives take shape and as decisions are made.
We've mentioned on the podcast before that our colleagues at Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, or MPFT, are developing a project called Every Woman's Heart Health Matters. Often, when we say women's health and well-being, you might immediately think about things like periods, pregnancy, caring, menopause, breast cancer, bone health, domestic violence, and mental health. But we've learned from talking with MPFT that heart and blood vessel ill health is actually the biggest cause of death in women.
And there's still a great opportunity to help shape this work and how they can get the message out there. In other words, how can they best engage with women in our communities and what kind of events would work best? There's a survey to share and you can complete it on behalf of an individual or a group that you're working with. And they're especially keen to hear from more seldom heard voices in our communities. The great thing is that your feedback is helping to shape some really exciting engagement, and so it's a great chance for us and the women that we all work with to help to influence things.
Healthwatch Stoke-on-Trent would like to hear your views on what you think their work priorities should be for this coming year. Healthwatch Stoke-on-Trent do great work. They're a local, independent voice for the public in NHS health services and in adults and children's social services. They gather feedback from the public about their experiences of accessing and using NHS health services and social services, find out what matters to local people, and make sure their views are heard by the people who then make the decisions about those services. There's a link to a survey in the show notes, so please do take a moment to let them know what you think. The City Council is inviting unpaid carers for adults and children to have their say to help design services that support them. The survey will help services to fully understand what life is like for carers and how effectively they are being supported when they need it. It also aims to explore how carers feel about their role and their views on any support they may be receiving. Deaflinks are hosting an event on Saturday, the 26th of April, with BSL facilitation to enable deaf service users to engage with the local, charities, businesses and healthcare services. There's no charge if your organisation would like a stall. We've included a link in the show notes so that your organisation can get in touch if you'd like to be part of the day. They'd particularly love to have ear care and asthma related services there on the day.
Now, it's never a bad time to check the VAST listings for the very latest training and networks taking place during 2025.
In fact, there's more than we have the space to mention in a short podcast, so thankfully there's a full list of VAST's in-house training and events opportunities on our website. As we've said, it's added to throughout the year, so keep on checking back.
Huge thanks for sticking with us during our dash through the month's news. We've reached the point in the podcast where we give the floor to people who are working hard locally to make change real.
As we said at the start of the podcast, we're really excited to bring you an update about community-led support in the city. Lots of VAST members host community lounges at their premises, so it's our pleasure to introduce Andrew Wilshaw, who is a Community Development Manager at Stoke-on-Trent City Council.
Now, Andy joined us at a recent VCSE Healthy Communities Alliance meeting, and it's worth saying that he'll refer a little bit to his presentation as he speaks, so we'll link to that in the show notes.
Nice to meet everybody. My name's Andy Wilshaw. I'm the Community Development Manager for Adult Social Care at Stoke-on-Trent City Council, and I oversee the community lounges within the city. I'm going to talk about community-led support, communities together, community lounges, a little bit of everything. I'm going to give you a quick whistle-stop tour about what we're about, what we do, and I want to start off by making it perfectly clear that this is a collaborative approach. It's about co-production. It's about everybody working together on a level playing field to support the community within Stoke-on-Trent. So what is Communities Together? Communities Together is a vision for Stoke-on-Trent that all communities, move this, are vibrant and inclusive, where people are aspirational and feel a sense of belonging and pride within their places. Again, our model is very, very similar to the places of welcome. I think I've seen Leslie on the call as well. So Leslie and I work together. Anyone that requests to be a community lounge, I very, very quickly say, if we can't be a community lounge, can you work with Leslie, be a place of welcome? And it's about connecting the dots together to make sure that everyone's delivering together. So the approach involves a network of over 50 organisations from the public, private and voluntary sector, working in partnership with their communities to design and deliver different ways of working, which maximise the strengths of community connections with people locally. And it's about having a good old chat with people. The amount of times we get feedback from people that attend community lounges that say, I'm sick to death of having to pick up a mobile phone and speak to a robot. I've got to go on the internet and I don't really know how to do it. So it's having that human touch, speaking to somebody on their doorstep within their local community and actually actively listening about what's going on for them and what are their issues. And this then hopefully will lead to on-the-spot action where locality connectors or any other service within a community lounge will be able to support somebody, and hopefully they walk away feeling a little bit better than when they arrived. It references there the innovation team, and again there's lots of people on this call who are part of the innovation team. The innovation team are a team of professionals that meet within each area, so within each locality, to discuss the service delivery of community lounges and community-led support. So what's working well, what isn't working so well, are there any further opportunities to make a difference within the community? And the community lounges are based in strategic areas across the city, offering advice and support. So when Jill O'Hare set these up in conjunction with partner services, probably about 3.5 years ago now, she was very, very keen that they happened where people already attend. It's not about us as a local authority thinking we know best, trying to dictate what goes where. So a lot of the community lounges are within food banks, they're on community centres, so where people are already going with the trusted venues. I think I've seen Helen from RVS on as well, and we've got Gemma from Port Vale, so already established, well-respected venues. I've discussed the innovation teams. Again, I've discussed there are already trusted places where people go. Significant links with health services. Again, I've seen Mark Cardwell on from MPFT. Really strong, trusting relationships with partner services. I've been in post for 10 months now, and when I first came into post last year in April, I had a meeting with Tom, and Tom gave me lots of valuable advice and guidance around really, really genuinely connecting with services, connecting with the hosts that host the community lounges. And I hope that my time in post, that you've seen that I'm a human being, I'm nice, I'm down to earth, what you see is what you get. There's no cloak and dagger. I want to be out there, I want to be supporting, I want to have my finger on the pulse within the community lounges, hearing what people want and working together. So that feedback and advice early doors, Tom, was really, really beneficial. Thank you. It's about us being incredibly grateful to people like Helen at RVS and Gemma at Port Vale and all the other lounges, because you're the ones that put the lights on, have the electricity on, and you allow us to come in and hopefully add value to what you're already delivering. So it's a big thank you from me there. We've got one of the locality connectors in the corner there. That's Rob. Rob covers the central locality. Again, this is a little bit of a slide around vision. We work closely with NDTI, which is the National Development Team for Inclusion. They've given advice and guidance all the way through this journey around vision, are we doing the right thing, and acting as a critical friend. So again, all the buzzwords I've already used. It's about true co-production. It's about working collaboratively. It's about looking at what the community are already doing well and building on that, thinking about community hubs. So we link in very closely with Donna and her team within Family Hubs and the Family Advisors. I'm really, really keen that we're not duplicating service delivery. There's lots and lots and lots of different organisations out there doing similar things, but we need to work together. We're all working so hard. I don't think we can work any harder. Someone said to me, we've got to work smarter, and I latched onto that straight away. We can't work any harder. We've got to work smarter together. And I think that's the way forwards. Again, this is a map of deprivation across the city. Really sad to see, really, but I think anyone who works in this type of field can see that that's the Stoke-on-Trent area, mainly most deprived or the next deprived area. The arrow is pointing at the Burslem ward, which is where the first community lounge pilot area was, and that was Port Vale. That is an absolutely thriving, even without us, is an absolutely thriving building at Tommy Cheadle's Football Club. And I can't see Gemma, but it's fantastic. The numbers they get there on a Friday when we're at Tommy Cheadle's is anything up to 50 and 60 people. And the setup there within the community lounges, you've got a safe, warm, welcoming space where people can come in. It's free. They can get a hot drink. They can get a breakfast. They can socialise. So if people are lonely and isolated, they can come along. The staff there are absolutely fantastic, as they are in any other lounge, making people feel special and helping them. So they've got that area, the lounge, exactly like someone's living room, really chilled and relaxed. And then just through the doors, the other side, we'll have lots of different partner services. So STR workers, mental health workers, employment advisors, locality connectors, lots of different services that the venue and the partners have agreed that the community need. It's not about me or anybody else saying, right, we think we know best about the community. It's co-produced and it needs to be the right service. We can't just pluck lots of services out and go, right, I'm going to chuck loads of services at this venue and hope that they stick. That is the absolute opposite of what we're trying to do within the Communities Together framework and model. Again, I've put this slide on. This is a City Council slide, but what I wanted to show, I'm pointing at my screen, you can't see, you can probably see my pen fiddling around. Community is right in the heart of what we do. And so it should be, because the community are experts in their lives. They've got the lived experience that we should be listening to shape services. Again, a little phrase that I absolutely love. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And this model is doing something. This is doing something different. It's not thinking about the normal ways of engaging with people. It's everybody working together in the community, and it works an absolute treat. The community lounge schedule is there down the side. I can send that. If I can send that to you, Charlotte, if you can pass that around to everybody after, that'd be marvellous. There's 18 across the city, as I've mentioned. They're all very different to meet the needs of the local community. So we've got food banks, community centres, RVS, neighbourhood centre. We've got Asher at Hanley, which specialises in asylum seekers and refugees. So they're all really, really different, and we're not perfect. we're not perfect. We're on a journey. We've got a bit of a plan, as you'll see at the end, but hopefully we are trying our absolute best to make sure that they are serving the needs of the local community. They're between 1 and 2.5 hours long, so not a huge amount of time, but sometimes that might be the only time that people get out of the house and socialise within that week, so it's really, really nice. I've already spoken about really what community lounges are and what they're about, so I won't labour on that. What I will say, though, is I've seen kind of a little shift in attendees within community lounges. So originally, when they were set up 3.5 years ago, they were exactly what they said on the tin: a community lounge, the living room, the safe space for a tea, people to come along, like a chatty cafe or something like that. Because of the trusted relationships that have been forged with partner services and the community, we're seeing an increase in the complexity of cases coming through now. So for me, it's a true partnership and model around early intervention and prevention. Can we work together collaboratively to help people before they get to further down the line and they need that more acute and more expensive intervention, really? So that's the model. Again, a slide. So many partner services. If you're not on there, I do sincerely apologise. But we work with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of partners. Just quickly about the locality connectors. So the locality connectors are the team that I manage. There's 5 locality connectors. The North locality is Steph Lancaster, Central is Rob Little, South East is Sarah Picking, and then we've got a job share in the Southwest, which is Julie and Karen. Their professional heritage was that they worked for adult social care as support workers, transitioned over into locality connectors to be part of this community-led support model. They know a little bit about more or less everything. They don't pretend that they're experts, but what they are good at, networking. So if they can't help you there and then, they'll know somebody and put you in touch with someone that can help. Slide just giving a quick overview of all the different things that we can support with. And as I've mentioned, mental health, fuel and food poverty, housing, benefits, domestic abuse. I won't read them all, you can see them there on screen. But we never know what's going to walk through the door within a community lounge, because we are completely inclusive, it's universal, it's free. Again, just a couple of examples of what difference we make. That's lovely Irene, she's 94, Irene is. Irene comes to the Bentley Community Lounge, and Irene said that coming to the community lounge makes me want to get up in the morning. I know I'll get some company and advice and help. It keeps me fit and active. I hope people will start coming and using the lounge because there's nowhere else like this. I have to disagree probably with Irene, because having spent time in this role, there's lots of other things like this. We've probably heard of lots and lots and lots and lots of different things, but it's lovely for Irene to say that. But again, it's about Tom and I and all the other partners around this table joining up those dots to make sure that everybody knows what is out there. The next one is a little bit more hard-hitting, and this was a text that somebody sent to a locality connector. So, morning, Steph. I just wanted to send you a text to let you know my progress in the refuge. I can't begin to thank you enough for helping me here. The day I came into you, homeless and broken, was the most scariest and lowest point of my life. You dropped me off at the train station that day, and it was a turning point to start living my life after trying to end it on so many occasions. If it hadn't been for you that morning, I dread to think where I'd be now. I'm still in the refuge and love it. I'm here with other women and other staff. We've all become good friends, and they are like my family. Again, I won't finish off reading that, but again, we're getting so many different outcomes, and I'm really, really conscious that since I've been in post, that we're building a picture, we're gaining more data. It's not all about data. We're dealing with human beings, and that's ultimately what we are doing. But if we're honest about supporting the community and listening to the community, we need to be using what the community are saying to shape service delivery as well. So just wanted to reference that. And next steps, I keep using co-production. Hand on heart, are we really co-producing? The answer is no. And the answer is no because my professional heritage within family hubs, we've seen Donna, is around governance. parents forums, partnership boards. If we haven't got people with lived experience on these boards, we're not truly co-producing. So the next steps within communities together is that I'd really like people that are attending the community lounges to be on the decision-making panels. That's where we need to be. People mystery shopping the community lounges. It's all well and good me saying, yeah, I think we're making a difference. Well, maybe we're not. Maybe we need these people to tell us and give us some advice and guidance. Coming along today is about building new relationships, meeting new people, but also building on the strong relationships that we already have. One of the other steps we're looking at is working in conjunction with VAST to think about 6 monthly check-ins with all 18 community lounges. We've got the innovation meetings, but they can be quite broad. They're very productive, but I want to give the community lounges some precious protected time to talk about them. How are they doing? Is it working for them? What's working? And how can we potentially support them better moving forward? Linking in with Natalie from VAST around if there's any training needs and that kind of stuff. We've also worked with the NDTI, which I've already mentioned. There's lots of training opportunities that can potentially be rolled out for the VCSE sector. So that's hopefully coming. And then finally, linking in with other groups, like Irene says, there's not much anything else out there. There most certainly is. So it's about working together. And if somebody needs support on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, we all know where someone can go. And it's not about there's only a community lounge on this day or there's only a place of welcome this day. So really, really joining the dots and working together.
Last but not least, we'd really love to welcome guest hosts and contributions to In Case You Missed It, offering a short segment for our members and partners to talk briefly about something you're working on or developing, much as Andrew has just done. As always, we'd love it to be a bit less us and a bit more you, and so please do get in touch if you'd like to join us.
So, all good things must come to an end. How did the show land for you? We'd love to hear just a little bit of feedback on how we can improve the podcast for you, and there's a link to the feedback form in the show notes.